Hello again, this is Dr. Jimmy. It is still the afternoon of Friday the 17th of February. I'm still continuing my history of Universal Orlando Halloween Horror Nights 24. Which of course was held at Universal Studios Florida back in 2014. In my previous video I've been talking about the shows of the event, particularly Bill and Ted's Excellent Halloween Adventure. And as I pointed out, it was one of the best ones for several years. And one of the things that was the highlight of the show, a spectacular moment, and that's just where I left off, was a moment where Anna and Elsa from Frozen came on the stage, and Elsa was played gloriously by Sharon as a big, beautiful, plus-size Disney princess, just spectacular, proving to the world you can be glamorous and glorious without being a stereotypical anorexic supermodel. And she was beautiful and wonderful, and she stole the show entirely at that moment, and it just totally blew the audience away. There were cheers and ovations, brava, and a parody, very hysterical lyrics, changing "Let It Go" to "I Let Myself Go," while she's enjoying a snow cone. Right. So, oh, and there was also some delightful Disney references, because the wait time to see Elsa was 425 minutes. But they got to see her special. Well, and at the end of it, there was a bit of a reference to all about that bass. Yes. But then they got chased off the stage by a scary dragon. Rawr! Oh no, it's a dragon! A dragon? There's no dragons. And here comes a dragon. And this horrible, frightening dragon is a Chinese New Year's dragon. And puppeteers are bringing it out. There's some fog, but you can see the people through the fog with the Chinese New Year's dragon. And the dragon is going, "I'm Smaug." Oh, it says, "Are you really the dragon from The Hobbit?" "Yes, I am. I'm Smaug, y'all. I'm Smaug." And it's just, "You don't sound anything like Benedict Cumberbatch. In fact, you have a genteel southern accent." "I don't hear it, y'all. I'm Smaug. Oh, I'm fierce." And so there's the dragon, and all of a sudden, "You're a puppet. I can see your puppeteers. They tickle." All of a sudden, here comes Hiccup from How to Train Your Dragon. Except Hiccup no longer trains dragon. He slays the sons of bitches. And he's got a sword. And he comes on there rather aggressively and rather douchily. Starts stabbing poor Smaug with it. "Dragons are evil. Take this, lizard." Starts stabbing him. And the poor dragon is, "Oh, I'm dying. I'm dying, y'all." "How can you die? You're a puppet, dude." "I'm puppet dying." Oh dear. "Whoa, Hiccup's a butthole." Yes, he was. So the poor, but then what happens? Hiccup dies too. Tracking band strike again. Ooh, did I give it away? So, well, another death. Now what are they going to do? So, but before anything happens, there's some familiar music. It's the theme to Breaking Bad. And coming out from the other side of the stage, dressed in his chemical suit and gas mask and all of that up on top of his head, is Walter White, or Heisenberg, of course, the character from Breaking Bad. He says, "I am the one who knocks." And it's like, well, it's Walter White. And he's come to, "Can you smell something cooking here?" And he's got cupcakes. Cupcakes he wants to share with the boys. "Well, there's no meth in these, is there?" "No." These wonderful blue cupcakes. And so they start to eat the cupcakes. He says, "Enjoy your trip." "Trip? We're not going anywhere." "Oh yeah, those cupcakes are laced with acid, and you're gonna freak the fuck out. Well, of course it was bleeped, but yes, they stop tripping balls, and suddenly the whole stage gets rather crazy because it's a Lego movie, and you've got the Lego characters. She can take my arm off, bah! And it's quite horrible because the Lego characters are running about from the movie, and then there's a Bill and Ted Muppets. The Muppet movie sucked, and they're up there in the frat house. Hi, Bill and Ted, we're excellent. It's horrifying. And Godzilla shows up, and it all becomes quite horrible and surreal, and the boys are like muttering crazy things about Tinder and everything else before they fall on the stage in a bit of a heap. After the fog clears, they decide to call for help. And Ted says, "Oh, let's try this. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there." And who should materialize but Tim Howard of the U.S. Olympic team? Yay! And he comes out in his black outfit, the goalie from the United States soccer team. We say football in the other parts of the world, except for America and Australia. That's soccer. And yes, Tim, of course, Tim Howard was the goalkeeper. And he comes out and gives words of wisdom. One man alone cannot stop all of life's balls. Oh, no. Fuck that up, sorry. One man alone can't keep all of life's balls out of your face. Whoa. Your wisdom about balls is quite deep. Yes. Good to know that. Well, it turns out he's not wearing a magical tracking band. He says, and he says he's not going to wear one. He says, over my dead body. He would wear a tracking band. And that's when Bill has a flash. And on the screen you see the evidence and little words appear. It's just like those scenes in Sherlock on BBC, when Sherlock starts to realize something and the Sherlock music is playing. And as you can see, like the little wheels turning in Bill's mind, apparently, as he starts to figure it out. And then there's a little hamster eating a burrito again. And then after that, Bill says, it's the tracking bands that are killing people. It's figured it out at last. It was obvious to everybody from the whole beginning. He solved it just like Benedict Cumberbatch. Does that mean that Ted is John Watson? I don't know. That would be funny. And so the frat party comes out and he confronts Zac Efron. And Zac Efron's like, I'm not behind this, dude. You know? And he says, because it's not his frat, he's just the pledge master. The leader of the frat is somebody else, and there's some hooded figures. So the first one who's going to introduce is John Travolta. And it takes off the hood, and there's John Travolta with his hair. Whoa. And he's like, yeah, I'm going to introduce our grand poobah. The beautiful, and mispronounces the name. If you remember, there was on an award show earlier that same year, he had been introducing Idina Menzel. I think it was the Academy Awards, and he called her something very odd. I don't remember what he called her. Something like I can't even remember, but it didn't sound anything like Idina Menzel. Apparently, he hadn't worn his contact lenses, and he didn't want to put his glasses on, and so he couldn't read the actual the printout. Not the cue cards, but they have that scrolling thing. The script you're supposed to read when you're presenting at the awards, and so he just said something like Doreen Mazub or I forget what it was, but it was something very silly, So he keeps mispronouncing it, and finally he says Idina Menzel, and the person he's announcing starts shouting at him, says, "You keep getting my name wrong. I'm Shia LaBeouf." And that, of course, is quite silly because nothing he said sounded anything remotely like Shia LaBeouf. And Shia LaBeouf is the Grand Poobah, and also in the frat is that guy, what's his name, from those diners, drive-in and dives. The douche who wears sunglasses on the back of his head, but soccer moms like it. And Renee Zellweger, who's being played by a man in a wig. Doesn't look anything like Renee Zellweger. Yes, we know that. And Shia LaBeouf is the evil one behind all of the tracking bands, but then before anyone, because it's crazy, this is like Avatar world crazy, it's like James Cameron crazy, whatever it is. All of a sudden, here it comes again in a cat suit, and this time it's being played by a person who is currently a WWE announcer, but used to work for Universal. Calls himself Rome nowadays. That wasn't his name back then, although Rome was in fact a syllable in his name, but not. Anyway, he shows up in the blue cat, and probably the best looking cat suit, at least to me, figure in the cat suit, with the mouse ears and the loincloth, doing the whole "I'm king of the world," and by that I mean Avatar world, opening at a theme park near you in the year 2094, if anyone still gives a shit. They have sex with their tails. They have sex with their tails, damn you. That whole bit. Knock knock, who's their sex tail? Boop. Yes, the whole sex tail running gag repeated again in 2014, as it would be in 2015 and 2016. Will it ever end? Now that the thing is starting to actually open, maybe it will not be in Bill and Ted this year. Maybe it will. Shia LaBeouf's the one who has been handing out the terrible tracking bands, but then all of a sudden there's another interruption. Look at me. Look at me. I am the captain now. And this time the Somali pirate is standing in the red, white and blue uniform and the shield of Captain America. And of course Anna says, he really is. Yes. He really is. Holy shit. Or something like that. And so Bill and Ted say, well, Captain, help us. And so the fight scene starts. And so now we have a huge, beautifully choreographed fight scene. All the characters, and it's lots of funny shit going on. Some sexy things happening. All the various characters throughout the whole program are coming back on stage. You have people in furry suits. You have sexy dancers. All of this going on and fighting all around. And then suddenly, after the fight scene is over, Shia LaBeouf says, ha! He has a detonator! Look out! He says, yes, he's going to use the detonator and blow up all the tracking bands, killing everybody. And Ted says, don't you mean the tracking bands you're wearing? He goes, what? And on his arm are all the tracking bands. That's right. During the highly choreographed fight scene, we put all the tracking bands on your arm. And he's already pushed the detonator, so he's like, no, you can't do this to me. I was Even Stevens. And he runs off into the shed that always blows up. And he runs off the stage. I was in holes. And boom! Of course, he blows up. Goodbye, Shia LaBeouf. So the bad guys are defeated once again. So, what should we do? There's going to be no more deaths. Everything's happy because it's solved. Good has triumphed. No one else is going to die. Yay! And Joffrey says, I'll drink to that, and drinks a drink of his and then falls to the ground, poisoned, dead. Well, now there'll be no more deaths. Yes. And then Bill and Ted admit that they were undercover. They weren't really college students. And they're like, duh, you guys are old as shit. Actually, it was Elsa who said that. And therefore, there's nothing left except singing and dancing for no reason. The musical numbers begin. And so we start out with someone impersonating Demi Lovato with the song Really Don't Care. Then Ariana Grande comes on stage and it sings Problem, and then Iggy Azalea shows up and in the top balcony and does Fancy. And I guess the Poison PBR was only a roofie because Joffrey wakes up and does a fancy dance to that part of I'm So Fancy with Bill and Ted, which is quite hysterical, doing sort of ballet type movements. That was quite fun. Then Elsa and Anna take the stage and they do their own version. Oh look, it's Lenny. Lenny decided to show up after all. Oh, Lenny's looking out the window. Maybe there's a bird or a squirrel or something. She's very interested in that because, like all cats, she's a fierce predator. Yes. Blood. They want blood. Flesh eat. Hello, Lenny, you pretty cat. Oh, she's adorable. Isn't she adorable? I can't get enough of how pretty that cat is in her nice little tuxedo, very formally dressed. But enough of the cat. You can watch the cat while I continue talking. Elsa and Anna take the stage, and they start in on their version of Vanilla Ice's Ice Ice Baby. Ooh, she's doing something. Did you catch something? Was there a lizard? Oh, she's yelling at me. Did you hear that? That's her. She's very talkative. Hello, Lenny. Oh, there she is. Hello, Lenny. How are you? Is that a good cat? Lenny's a good cat. Oh, she is. She's a sweetheart. Yes, little pussum snushums. Little tushy washums. Yes. Ooh, the tail. She likes being scratched right here by her tail. Right here on her butt. Cats like that. She likes being pet on her ears. Lenny's a good cat. All right, where was I? Oh, yes. Anna and Elsa do their own version of Ice Ice Baby by Vanilla Ice with new lyrics which are quite hysterically funny. I couldn't do it justice. And while they're doing that, it starts to snow in the auditorium. Spectacular scene, again stealing the whole dance number. Then, here comes Nicki Minaj and a couple of her backup singers with huge asses. They've got big, huge padded butts, much larger than life, doing Anaconda, of course. Yes. And after that, it's Talk Dirty by Jason Derulo. And the frat boys then start dancing to that, all of them, you know, shirtless, looking rather hot and sexy, the male characters, while that song is going. And Star-Lord, DJ Star-Lord, goes out to the audience and plays up to that, doing a bit of a sexy dance and getting in the laps of the people in the front row, most of whom are family, friends, and VIPs and of the cast, so he can get away with that without getting in trouble. Playing up like a bit of a sexy dancer, and that was always fun. And then the song Selfie by the Chainsmokers, and two girls in outfits like the Chainsmokers are up there with the, you know, with this sort of thing, while the rest of the cast are doing some dance, and on the screen are showing selfies. All sorts of hysterical selfies from the frat and all the different characters in the show, and all sorts of bizarre poses like they were drunk or at a party and got selfies that are rather obnoxious and stupid, ridiculous and embarrassing. It's quite hysterical. I couldn't possibly describe them all. I wish you'd seen it if you haven't, but it was wonderful, all part of the number. And this ends up with a big number, Wasted, DJ Tisto or whatever it is, Wasted, and that's when they all go up into the stands, going up on the stairs, dancing near the audience, up in the audience, the big climactic number, which then bursts into the rock number where Bill and Ted get their guitars, and it's Paradise City by Guns N' Roses, which was back at the beginning of the program. Now they start that back up again, and this time we have Axl Rose and Slash come out on the stage as well, and they perform Paradise City with explosions and fireworks, and the whole thing is done. And it's, you know, see you later, audience dudes. And the show ends with Love in the 21st Century by the Neon Trees. And while that's playing as you walk out, more of the funny selfies are showing up on the screen. So it was a wonderful Bill and Ted that year. I really enjoyed it. It was one of the best in recent years. All right. Now, I have some time left to talk about games. Because I'm done with the shows. Games. In 2014, there were 2 interactive games played in the park. One of these was put on by the social media team. It was called The Compound, and apparently it was all themed to The Walking Dead, which is ridiculous because it would have been more appropriate the year before. Not in 2014, 2013, they should have done a Walking Dead themed game because they only had the one house. It wasn't like the whole streets are Walking Dead again. And I don't know much of what it was. It was a lot of things that would tweet, and you're supposed to be a certain place or tweet up or something, and I guess you got to go into a house, or maybe they met up at the end of the event for a party. I know very little about the compound thing because I didn't do it and I didn't care to do it. Oh dear. I'll have to come back in the next video.